Yeah.
What's up, Leslie?
Hi. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm excited. Hey, Colin.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
So Colin is a fifth grader here at Montfort Heights, and he's a remote learner. So we have the option of kids being in person or learning online. And this is actually Colin's first year at Montfort Heights at our school, and he's doing remote learning, and he's been doing a super awesome job with his online learning. So his teacher recommended that he interview you today. So I'm going to let him kind of lead this, and I'll be here to support him if he needs it. But it sounds like he can do this all on his own.
Awesome. How do you like doing school on the computer? It's a new world, huh, Colin?
Yeah.
Are you getting used to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting good on Zoom?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Well, what kind of questions do you have for me?
What branch are you in?
I'm in the Army, and so I started off doing it full-time, where I was stationed, at a post. I was at Fort Campbell, but now I'm just in the reserves. I'm in the U.S. Army Reserves, and I do it once a weekend, and then I have 3 weeks in the summer that I do it. So it's kind of like part-time training, like a weekend warrior almost.
And what was the training like?
The training at first was pretty hands-on and like a lot of field exercises, a lot of the stuff you see on TV, that type stuff. But then when you pick your specialty or what you're going to be qualified in, then it starts to go more towards your specific area of expertise. I'm sorry. So I did a lot of field exercises at the beginning, shooting and running and stuff. And now I do more like human resources for the Army. So I'm paperwork city. So it's not as exciting these days.
So what, did you do? Mostly?
Mostly, well, so on the officer, there's enlisted and there's an officer. And on the enlisted side, they're kind of, they're the doers. They get everything done. And the officers are in charge of putting it together and kind of directing them. So the officers, once you go into the officer route, you're behind a desk. So my training, the lower you are, like the lower enlisted and the lower officer, the more you get to actually do hands-on. But then, so I started off working with soldiers on their, basically their files, so how they get promoted, how they get to schooling, all of that stuff. It's the personnel side. That's what I do. So I've always been behind a desk for the Army, but, and so it's still the same thing for me, but paperwork, personnel. I work with the soldiers. So, and if I was deployed in a kind of a deployment setting, I would be doing accountability. So the human resource side of on a deployment is you're making sure you know where everybody is. And then you would deal with like killed in action or wounded in action or missing in action. So you're in charge of making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be and everybody, you know where everybody's at.
Okay. And what do you do to honor veterans?
So in 2009, Miss Tway Hughes and I, we were actually in college together then. And she probably remembers this. My cousin was killed in action in Afghanistan, and his wife started a program called Wear Blue, Run to Remember. So when he first was killed, all she could do was run and run and run. That was what made her kind of like fill the time and just get over it and cope. So she came up with this foundation, and it's called Wear Blue, Run to Remember. And so she just started with a t-shirt one time that just had Johnny's name, which is her husband, my cousin. And then it turned into this big thing, and now people from all over get together and they wear blue and they go on a run. So my family always puts on their shirt and we go we used to do a lot more miles, but now we do about 6 miles. So we do kind of a Wear Blue, Run to Remember. And everybody, they call in kind of like Zoom. So they've been doing this for years, since 2009. And they kind of call in and do a group prayer. And then everybody names somebody that they're running for. So even if you don't know anybody that was killed or anybody, you know, that was wounded, you just can run for somebody. They'll give you a name and you can run for a soldier. So just to remember everybody, that's our way of doing that.
And we're doing like self-control on like videos.
Yeah.
And it was stop, think, and act. And how do you use that in the military to help you?
Well, that's really one of the foundations, really, when you think about everything the military is based on. So to me, it would, you know, discipline and self-control. And, you know, we use stop, think, act just in conversations, you know, on the smaller side of things, because there's a chain of command. So I can't, even if I get very upset or somebody does something very wrong to me, if they outrank you, you still have customs and courtesies, and you still, basically you're still wrong. So you still have to, you can't lose your cool, you can't say anything inappropriate. So stop, think, act is very important for me. So you really can't react. You have to just think before you say anything so that you do it correctly. But then, you know, in a bigger picture military, it affects, you know, really everything we do. Without it, I think there would be total chaos. So we have these things called rules of engagement. So even when you're at war with somebody, you can't, and not every country has these or follows them, but I think that's what makes us so great. But so if somebody you're getting shot at, for example, you can't just shoot in the vicinity. You have to actually confirm that you see a weapon in that person's hand before you react. So, or, you know, if you see people coming close to you and you're not sure if they have, you know, an IED or anything like that, you have to see a weapon in hand in order to have any contact, you know, any contact. So, you know, stop, think, act. If you're panicked and you just want to shoot back, you really have to stop, think, act, and have self-control. So I think on every level, they try to instill that so that in that kind of situation, environment, you can compose yourself and do what's right. I think it helps, you know, chaos and would be pretty nasty if we didn't have things like that. So I think it's very important.
Have you ever been overseas?
No, I haven't. My unit was deployed last year. So they were in Afghanistan for 9 months, but I didn't go. I have a little 5-year-old at home, so they let me stay home. So I was very lucky, but it's a constant cycle. So on the reserve side, your unit will deploy every 4 years. So you never know.
What motivated you to be in the military?
Well, at first, so my dad went to West Point. So he was in the Army for over 20 years. He's a colonel. And then my older brother joined. And so I joined at the beginning, mostly just family tradition. I wanted to serve too. But then, you know, my first, you know, ROTC when I was in college, before I was even really in it. So my first year doing it, I had a much bigger purpose. So I kind of got more and more important to me as the years went on. But at first it was just kind of to honor a family tradition and serve, you know, alongside of my family. And then it really was instilled, you know, for my cousins. So I think that's very important too.
Okay, and I don't have any more questions.
Okay, well, those were good questions.
I know.
I like that interview.
Colin, you did a really good job, man. I'm very impressed.
Thanks for asking.
One last thing, Georgia, is where are you? Where do you live? Because I know
I'm in Georgia. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm Georgia from Georgia again. So I'm back here.
Awesome. All right. Well, Colin, is there anything else you just want to ask real quick, or are you good?
I'm good.
All right.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we will be showing this to our whole school tomorrow. So Colin,
Wow.
you guys are going to be famous tomorrow.
Hopefully I didn't say anything too crazy.
No, you did a great job. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
No problem. It was good to see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.